I wanted to break into investment banking. You want to break into investment banking? How can I help you achieve this exact goal? In this video, I'm going to cover free and paid resources that can help you land a job at the top investment bank. And I'll be splitting this video into three main sections: technical knowledge resources, interview prep resources, and macro knowledge resources. Let's start with technical knowledge resources. And the first one, and I'm sure most of you have used it before, is Investopedia. Literally, I still use Investopedia, and I know a lot of managers actually use that as well. It's such a great tool. You can literally type any single term into Investopedia. You can type what is short in a bond, what's going long with stock, and literally you will get a definition, and more times than not, you also get a video explanation, well animated, of what that exact definition is, which is why I love Investopedia. And I'm actually telling you, there are managers right now, VPs, EDs, that still use Investopedia because it's such a great resource. The next one is Wall Street Oasis. And actually remember, the first time I wanted to find out what shorting a stock meant, I literally was in the library. This was probably my second year in university, and I put in what is shorting a stock, and literally a video definition came up on Wall Street Oasis, and the tool I've been using ever since. And another reason I like it is on that website, it's actually forums where you can actually type what is shorting a stock. I can have different people from different professions, different experience level, actually explain what shorting a stock is, and then you can go ahead and pick the best definition, or the definition you understand the most. Now, in terms of a paid resource, there's this one I found on Udemy, which I think is actually a very good one. It's called the Complete Investment Banking Course, and it's actually a very good one. I actually reviewed it in quite a lot of detail, and it more or less covers everything you need to land a job at an investment bank, and it really covers how to build a financial model in a very clear and concise way, which is the main thing you need. Coursera also have a paid course called Investment Banking, Financial Analysis and Valuation, and honestly, this is one of the best paid courses I've seen out there. This course costs less than £50, and I think it's quite worth the money. It goes into a lot of detail about how to literally value a stock, how to value a company, how to even value non-listed companies. So I think it's a very good resource, and I recommend, if you have the spare cash, to go ahead and purchase it. Not sponsored. Now, this is a very important one, and it's one most people overlook: the company website. I'm telling you, most investment banks have free resources on the website. And not even investment bank, most companies wear any sort of corporate finance, so that can include KPMG, EY, even PwC. There's a lot of free resources on the website where you're able to learn a lot. If you go onto Goldman Sachs website, it literally defines what investment bank is, what are the different groups within investment banking, what is sales and trading. Literally, most of those basic definitions are literally on the website. And it's actually a very good idea that if you have an interview with Citibank or Bank of America, yes, M&A is M&A no matter what bank it is, but how banks actually define M&A, or how they actually split up the M&A group, would differ from bank to bank. So it's a very good idea that anytime you have an interview, go onto the Goldman Sachs website, the JP Morgan website, and see how they define M&A. How do they actually define DCM? What's left in to JP Morgan might be slightly nuanced and different to what's left in for Citibank. Another free resource that's quite good is companies' equity research reports. And honestly, these have so much valuable information. If, for example, Goldman Sachs releases a report about Twitter or about X, which is what it's called now, they will put in a lot of detail and analysis on where they see the stock price of X going, and if it's a buy, sell, or hold. Read that research report and gain some insight. For example, how Bank of America actually sees X, or how a specific equity research analyst in JP Morgan views X. And a good thing you could do is compare this across different banks and look at different companies, because if JP Morgan says X or Twitter, whatever, is a buy, Goldman Sachs might say it's a sell. You then read those different research reports and come up with a conclusion yourself. And by doing that, you're able to gain that technical knowledge, which you can show in the interview. If you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like and actually leave a comment and tell me what you enjoyed the most about the video. Now let's talk about interview resources. Listen carefully, please listen. What you have to do is create a bank of around 50 to 100 questions. But where do you actually get those questions from? The number one site for me, and honestly this is the best site, is Glassdoor. Literally, when I first tried to apply for a placement year or even a spring week, Glassdoor was the first site I ever visited, and it's so good because you get people that have interviewed at those various banks or various hedge funds, and they actually put in Glassdoor what question they were asked. And if you can think about it, most people that get interviewed come on Glassdoor and literally type out the 10 questions they were asked during the interview, what question they were asked during the video interview. Is literally a bank of questions, like honestly. And the good thing is, it goes all the way from I think 2012 all the way to current 2023. So it's the first place I'll look at when trying to find out what interview questions can you be asked. Other websites also include eFinancial Careers, Target Jobs, Rate My Placement. Most other sites have questions that can be asked, but honestly, Glassdoor is my best because it's literally, well, hopefully, real people putting in the questions they were asked. And if that has a sample of like thousands of students and you create a bank of questions from that, yes, you might not be asked the same exact thing, but trust me, most of those questions tend to be repeated. Now let's talk about macro knowledge resources. During an interview for an investment bank, your macro knowledge will be tested 100%. You need to know exactly what's going on in the market, what's going on in the economy, and be able to provide a point of view on it. But this seems very daunting, and I get it. What does a university student know about what's going on in the market, and how can you actually provide a point of view? This is what I did. Listen carefully. If you're a university student in the UK, you get free access to the Financial Times. Every single day, go through the front page of the Financial Times and see what the current market developments are. And especially if you have an interview, for example, on Thursday, and the Bank of England actually increased rates on Wednesday. You should know during that interview that the Bank of England increased rates, and also you should be able to provide what that impact would be for Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley or whoever you're interviewing for. This is very vital. Make sure you also check the news the day of and the days leading to the interview if the bank you're interviewing for has been in the news. If Goldman Sachs is in an IPO for Deliveroo, you should know this and also know the details of that deal. The second free resource I'll talk about are podcasts. And honestly, podcasts literally save me so much time. It's very hard, I know, to just sit down and read a book or read an online newspaper. It's annoying. I don't want to do it, but I had to do it. But something I discovered during C20 was a Micro Hive podcast by Bilal Hafiz. And Bilal Hafiz is an ex-Deutsche Bank, Nomura, and JP Morgan equity research strategist. And he brings on different guests each Friday to talk about what's currently going on in the markets. And I love the podcast because if you listen to it every Friday, he literally breaks down what's happening in the markets, how that impacts banks, hedge funds, and how that actually impacts consumers. And if you're able to digest that information, and a similar question will get asked during the interview, I promise you. And if you can actually use the knowledge from the podcast to give a good point of view, this will go a long way. So the Micro Hive podcast is a very good one. Another podcast I like to listen to is the Amplify Trading podcast, and it's similar to the Micro Hive podcast where the guys over at Amplify Me bring on different guests each week and also talk about what's going on in the markets. Most people don't know this, but most banks, most equity research houses have their own podcast. JP Morgan has a podcast, Morgan Stanley has a podcast, Citibank has a podcast, and most of the time, each week, different professionals in JP Morgan are on the podcast discussing various financial topics and also what's going on in the market. So to me, this is free. It's free on Apple. Listen to those podcasts, gain some insight, and prepare to share that during the interview. You can literally say, if you're interviewing for Goldman Sachs, I was listening to the podcast by X, who works in equity research at Goldman Sachs, and he was highlighting how Revolut is facing challenges in the UK, trying to secure its banking license. I agree with him on some points, but this is where I disagree. If you do that during the interview, if you do exactly what I just said, you will get the role. I promise you. If you can eloquently defend a point or make a point that challenges the interviewer's point of view, honestly, it's a good way to show maturity, and that's how you get a job at an investment bank. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you found that useful. Like, comment, subscribe, and honestly, I want you guys to get that dream job. So please push this video, let as many people see this, and I'll catch you in the next one.